the sidelines. Has a man wide open. It's tipped. It's picked off. MJ Devonshire. Got face. He's going to take it to the end zone. Pittsburgh takes the lead.
He loves those moments. It reminds me of last year in the Garden against St. John's. And guys just stepped up. Blake hits a what the hell 3. You know, we're like, what are you doing? And he's done that all year.
Klicka out to Bizzario. It's over. The Pitt Panthers have upset Wisconsin.
Anybody if he hits his field goal. Up and got it. Sauls does it again.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simplify Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kaminsky. I'm joined by my co-host, Mason Kling. And let's just put it simply. All hail the Blue Vase.
Dude, they must have really put all their negative thoughts in that thing this week because whatever they did worked. There were some very funny pictures of Christian Bear holding the vase this week.
That might have to be the show photo for this week.
Yeah, I like that. All
right, we're going to do that. No, I'm just imagining like Pat Narduzzi going up, like texting his players late at night, like, hey, you up putting your negative thoughts in the vase?
Who up putting their thoughts in a vase?
Who up putting their thoughts in the vase? Christian Bear's like, dude, I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is like throwing it back to last week too, but I guess did you see he made all the media members sit down and watch the video of the like why behind the blue vase?
Yeah. I think Dom showed that to us, right?
Yes. Friend of the pod, Dom, was, I guess they were all made to sit down, and he wheeled in like, I'm picturing like a substitute teacher level, like wheel in the TV and put the tape in kind of thing. But yeah, if it works, it works. If that's what we need to do to beat number 14 Louisville, get it. Everybody gets a blue vase. Every house in Pittsburgh can have a blue vase for all I care.
Did you see that someone found the guy who broke the vase story? He didn't break the vase. Noah Hiles. Somehow they found his address, and 2 different people sent him a blue vase. Yeah.
When you said they found his address, I thought it was going to be something way more sinister, but that's actually just awesome.
Yeah. It's like, we have crazy fans, but we're like good crazy, like kind of funny crazy, and not
yeah.
threatening.
Not a brick through a window, just a vase on the porch.
You can't exactly put the vase through the window, right? You're just going to have 2 pieces of broken glass.
Exactly.
I'm imagining a guy, he's pulling up to his house, he just keeps chucking vases at the window until he has a hole big enough in the window glass to sneak through another vase. And he's like, peeking through, he's like, oh fuck, that one broke. So Noah gets home, broken window, full of blue glass. Guy just gives up. I just pulled up the photo that our friend Dom sent us, friend of the pod, bound multiple times. Yeah, he basically pulled everyone into a room. They pulled up this old ass video. It's in 4:3 format, and it's just like a lecture that you go to in school. So
yeah.
No one really
might have to get our hands on that tape for some film study this week.
If anyone out there listening can get us the blue vase video, we might have to do like a live reaction to it.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, enough about the vase. Let's talk about the game that the vase caused, shall we? Let's get into the game.
Yeah.
I'll be up front. I was at a wedding this weekend. The reception started at 6. I was not able to get my eyes on a TV the entire time. Not a single TV in the venue, which I get it. It just personally annoyed me. I'm not going to shame the couple, which, by the way, congratulations. You're not listening, but I didn't get to watch this. I was on the Score app, and I was kind of losing my mind. Like, oh, we're about to do this. You and Kent were sending me updates throughout the game, and I was like, guys, are we about to do this? We about to do this? So,
well, there was we do have to talk about the brief jinx you put on us when.
Okay, all right. You talk first, and then I'll explain why I was confident enough to say that.
So it was, I guess, probably at like the 2 or 3 minute mark of the second quarter going into halftime.
When did we score? We scored like a minute and a half left, something like that.
Yeah, I guess it might have been less than I thought, but I don't even remember how we scored the touchdown. To be honest, I guess it might have been.
I think it was a SIBO run. It was.
I
It
think
was
it
the
was a
one
SIBO.
after. It was the one after the big Kenny Johnson catch.
Yes, that's it. So that was when Kent and I had texted you some updates, and then you said, "Let's go! I can't believe we're going into half tied." Immediately after that, Louisville proceeds to drive the field and score a touchdown before half. Thought it was going to take the air out of everything, but we ended up bouncing back, so it was fine.
Yeah. So I'd like to explain myself a little bit. The score app for ESPN is notoriously terrible.
Awful.
Just always behind. And the real issue with it was in this game that it never had the right time of game on it. So I saw we scored, and it said there were like 30 seconds left on the clock. I'm like, okay, they're just going to kneel it out and go to half. Turns out I was just completely wrong. I blame ESPN. Your score app is completely useless at this point. Didn't mean to, but however, that's my bad. I shouldn't be saying things I'm not watching a game in person.
No, I would have done the same exact thing. It
also,
didn't matter.
Really bad DPI on that drive too.
I was going to say there was a bunch of penalties that kind of helped them. Like it really shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have scored anyway. Maybe a field goal,
Right.
But they definitely had some help on that drive.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go on to the real game here. So you watched the whole thing. So I just watched like the condensed replay, so I have a kind of a good idea of what went on. But give me your overall take. Your big takeaways.
I told you so. Not you personally, but I guess like the entire fan base to Pat Narduzzi was kind of the vibes we got the whole entire time. Watching the game, it was like it never felt like we were out of it. We weren't asking Christian Veillere to do a lot. We weren't asking him to throw it all over the field. We were asking him to make a couple throws, hit a couple guys, keep a balanced offense, and and let the defense win. Yep. He wasn't the most accurate to start the game, but when he was inaccurate, he didn't throw it to the other team. So that was already just a huge advantage compared to our good boy Phil. It was, I don't know. It was like he wasn't great. He wasn't a world beater, but he played good enough to beat the 14th ranked team in the country. And as fun as it was to watch, it was also the most frustrating thing in the world because you look back at, maybe we still lose to UNC, but you look back at a bunch of those games and Pitt should be a different team right now.
Yeah, so that's like, obviously we should say, first of all, it feels so fucking good to win. Like,
yes.
It's awesome to be happy on Sunday going into another day of football. But, like, props to Christian Veillere. Like, the defense finally got it together in this game, which we'll get to later. But, like, you can't help but think, like, what's the reason he wasn't starting prior to now? I mean, obviously he didn't look great in the UNC game, but he came off the bench, and you can never really expect a backup guy who doesn't get rep ones to perform as well, like, as they should. But obviously, like, I think, I'm always a quick trigger, pull the guy now. Like, I was done with Phil after that Cincinnati disaster, after he completed 8-10 passes. I forget each bad stat, but like, even if you're like, okay, maybe it was a bad game, like, there was no reason he shouldn't have been like benched at halftime, West Virginia. And like you said, if Veillere comes in, you have to think we beat West Virginia with the most average quarterback in the world, because our defense was lights out that game.
Yeah,
I do give it to you. I don't think we beat UNC. You probably can make it a game with Virginia Tech if your quarterback's competent. And then even against Cincinnati, like it's very funny. It kind of mirrors this game where the defense has in trouble in the first half, but then they really turned it on the second half, and they were able to really just shut Cincinnati out. But the problem with the Cincinnati game is that we were already out of it because Phil was not accurate. So what's the point of like seriously, it's like you look at the first 5 games, like, well, what was the fucking point? Like I was negative on Phil coming into the year. My priors were confirmed, and we basically just wasted 4 games that we could have won 3 of them. So
yeah. I mean, and it's almost like it took longer because of how stubborn Narduzzi is, and I think he was trying to prove a point a little bit. How'd that go, Pat?
Yeah, how'd that go? How is like deflecting the blame onto your OC, who's like, no, I trust his decisions. There's not a Pitt fan in the world who trusts Frank Cignetti to tie his own shoes. I wouldn't trust him with a fake Monopoly money bill to not get robbed at North Shore Station, not give it away to some guy who wants to, I don't know, spend it. But like the fact that Phil has been starting for 5 games, like that should just be a reason to fire Cignetti with cause. It's just like you're just bad at your job. But I mean, like,
yeah, that's what makes you wonder, like how much of it is Cignetti standing on the desk for him. Obviously, they have some history being at Boston College versus how much is that Pat's decision. You gotta think a lot of it's Cignetti, right? Like, I mean,
so the way he's been talking, like from everything we know, what we can say is that it was Cignetti's choice, right? Because Pat would constantly say, well, no, I leave personnel decisions up to the OC. But like, my thing is, if he was coaching a defense against Phil Jerkovic, he would just be like, guys, we're going to eat this Saturday. And if he couldn't step back and see that and say, Frank, we're sitting this guy, like he's costing us games, that is just it's a poor management decision on his part and an even worse one on Frank's. So, but let's stop talking about Phil. Let's talk about the good things in this game. Now, like you said, Vair, first start, was not a world beater. 12 of 26, completed less than half his passes for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Even the run game wasn't that great. Doing some quick math, I think we rushed for under 100 yards in this one, but he still got the job done. He still made some pretty big time throws. First couple of
one thing about that stat line is definitely some nerves coming out of Vair to start. I think he started 0 for 5 and looked kind of like wildly inaccurate. Mm-hmm. It's never really fair to cherry pick stats, but I think if you take those first 5 throws, so I guess maybe that first 2 drives out of the game
3.
and chalk that up to nerves. Was it 3?
Yeah.
That stat line looks a hell of a lot better. Now he didn't throw it all around the yard and like gunslinger kind of thing, but completion percentage looks a hell of a lot better. He took advantage of the opportunities that he had, and you can only grow from that, right?
Right, yeah. I'm not trying to say like, oh, he's like bad. He's not the answer. Like, I do think he's showing a lot of things that show that he can be a pretty fucking good college quarterback. I think I agree with you that like coming off the bench, homecoming night, like a top 15 team coming to your house, there are nerves there.
Yeah.
Now,
weather. I mean, the weather was probably a factor.
Crappy weather. Well. Yep. However, like his first completion was that really deep Bub Means touchdown, which holy shit, an accurate deep ball. Who the fuck would have thought we can do that? It was his best deep ball tonight. Like, also, I will say he did have, I think it was Means again. Let me double check that. I believe he had Means later in the game where he just needs to tune in that deep ball accuracy and he'll look a lot better. Like, he overthrew him by a couple yards, which is what we saw against UNC. But like, overall, his accuracy was pretty good. He had a couple drop passes, which you can kind of tune up to weather. But like that touchdown pass he threw, he took a huge hit on it and still delivered a strike. He had that back shoulder throw to Kenny Johnson, where great catch by Kenny. If he leads that ball maybe a yard or 2 more, that's a walk-in touchdown for Kenny Johnson. But
Yep.
overall, this is just the kind of quarterback play we needed. And like I said, it's not like we got help from the run game. It wasn't particularly good. The offensive line still looks pretty bad. Branson Taylor, Jason Collier, Ryan Baer. You know my feelings on those guys.
That's the craziest thing to me. It's not like we brought everybody back on the offensive line and all of a sudden there was protection. I think it was just better pocket awareness from Baer too, which, you know, we talked about before, Phil kind of running himself or scrambling himself into sacks. You didn't see a lot of that tonight. You saw some pretty good quick decision-making in the run and the pass game from Baer. Mm-hmm. And it was like, holy shit, maybe this offensive line isn't that bad. It was more the guy behind the steering wheel.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's something that goes into it. I still think that the tackles are really liable to get beat by speed rushes and guys trying to go around the edge. You saw that a couple times with Taylor and Ryan Baer. They've just got to get better. But like you said, like there was that one throw to Gavin, the really cool catch he made behind his back, or he had to go back for the ball. Like he gets pressured. He climbs in the pocket and then just throws that to Gavin, who makes a great catch and gets a first down. Like and it was an accurate throw. It was an accurate throw when you're moving up the pocket, which Phil never did.
Yep.
And that's all we needed.
Yeah. Dude, he was literally there in this game was literally what I feel like Signetti and Narduzzi wanted Phil to be.
Yeah, and this was not a particularly – we know Veer can be better.
Yeah. Yeah. This was Phil. Veer played at Phil's ceiling tonight, and I think that's probably not his floor, but like he's got room to grow.
Yeah, if this is like the first stepping stone against what was a very good defense all year, I am excited to see what happens moving forward. I would hope that he can move forward with a different offensive coordinator. I hope that – listen, Christian, I want you to be very good. Don't be good enough to save Frank's job. Just keep that one in the back of your head.
Yeah.
I wonder if Pat knows like this is like untenable with the fans. Like you got to think some boosters are get pretty pissed about Frank being the OC, but whatever. That's a problem for December. Right now, good shit on.
Right now, we got to try to make a bowl.
Right now, we got to try and make a bowl. Getting Louisville is a pretty good first step. I think if we didn't get this one, it might have just been I might have gone full doom and like we're not winning a game the rest of the year. This is not only is it just a good win, you get a lot of energy in your program for this one. This is a lot of momentum, gets the fans back in the stands. I know the weather was shitty, so a lot of fans were not there, which I don't blame you because we've been a bad team for a very long time. Not a very long time, for five.
But I mean, shout out to the ones that were there because you get to be at the Christian Baer game. And
shout out the student section, man. They were in full force.
Yeah,
and just ponchos. They have been so good all year. I'm very glad that they finally got something to cheer for.
Yeah, they deserved it, and who knows? Maybe it'll be pretty cool to one day you can say you were at that game for the coming out party of who could be a great Pitt QB. Who knows?
I mean, yeah. I mean, think about I don't know. Just who was the last Pitt quarterback to defeat an undefeated ACC team at home? Wonder how that guy did. Oh man. I don't know. Just move on to Wake Forest. Wake Forest had a stinker last week against Virginia Tech. Then it's really just preparing for two big ones. I think you have to get three big ones. You have to get one of Notre Dame, Florida State, and Duke, and a bowl game is possible. Do you have anything else on the offense? I do want to talk about the defense first.
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. I definitely have some stuff to go over on the defense too. So let's pivot there.
Okay, yeah. One last thing for the defense then. Kanata, Gavin, Kenny Johnson are officially on the Freaks list. They are our freak athletes. And, of course, once you make the Freaks list, you no longer get any playing time for this offense. So just use our fucking freaks, man. Anyway, defense. what a second half for these guys. I mean, they pretty much got, to be fair, ACC refs love to throw a ton of flags on this defense. It was no different today. You have to think that they just love throwing flags on Pitt. However, giving up 21 points in the first half, that long touchdown drive with like less than a minute left, pretty bad first half. Then the drive chart in the second half, turnover on downs, punt, pick six, pick, missed field goal, turnover on downs, turnover on downs, turnover on downs. What a way to fucking step up in the second half, man.
Yeah, they were literally eating. I think MJ Devonshire must have known that Revis was in the crowd for this game, the way he played. I think he had like 5 tackles, like 6 pass breakups, or I might have those stats flip, but he was everywhere.
Yeah. Also, on that pick six, the reason why he got that pick is from a pretty good play from the linebacker 23, Solomon DeShields. He's basically running at the Louisville wide receiver, and the wide receiver has a huge mental mistake. Instead of like letting himself get run over for a penalty, he tries to jump around him and like still get open again. Throws off the timing of the route. MJ's sitting there and just turns on the burners. So I'm glad he had that. Like, he's had an up and down season so far, but tonight he was really good. That was a special play.
He looked so goddamn fast when he was on that pick six. Nobody was touching him.
Who was the one that was running right next to him, because they had like the same speed too? Was it AJ Woods?
I think it was AJ Woods. He was the only one on the field that was with him.
But also, like, I don't know, to start off the second half with a 4th and 1 stop, like stuffing them on a short yardage situation, that might have been the momentum shift that we needed. Like, the pressure started getting home that we have not seen all season. Finally, it got home.
Yeah, we finally had a good pass rush, which I think frustrated the shit out of Jack Plummer. Is that his name?
Jack Plummer, yeah.
I always want to say Jake Plummer, like Arizona State, but
I think Jake Plummer is, I think, his dad.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I was wondering if there was a relationship. But he was definitely getting frustrated. A clip that kind of, I don't know if it went viral on the real Twitter, but on Pitt Twitter, everybody was posting the picture of him shoving the ref. Trying to plead his case for what happened on the pick six, but that's like a big no. I don't know.
That gets you thrown out of the game for most times.
Yeah. But I also love seeing that frustration. It's kind of like when you get the other quarterback that frustrated, you feel like you're in the driver's seat of the game.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything that Jake Plummer is his dad. So, but Jake
he is a quarterback.
Yes, he is a quarterback.
Not his father, but will probably forever get them mixed up in my head, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say another thing on the defense. Samson Okunlola, wearing number 8, is starting to become that guy. He had the strip sack to stop a drive towards the end of the first half. Beautifully defended the screen, everyone else on the line, and again, Solomon Shields basically closed that up. Plummer makes a big old mental fart, holds onto the ball too long, and Okunlola destroys him coming around the back. So, just overall, tale of two halves, but the way they stepped up in that second half was awesome, and they get a get-right game next week. I'll say it. Wake Forest is a get-right game for this defense. So I think they might be onto their backup quarterback too.
Let's go win next week, and then we call that a win streak.
Just get to it next week, be within sniffing distance to 500, and then just roll the dice against Notre Dame. We'll see what happens. If
this team makes a bowl, that would be ridiculous from where we came.
If we make a bowl, like, this would be like Pat's best coaching job of all time.
Probably.
Yep.
Probably.
Anything else on this game?
I'm trying to think of anything else that came across my mind when we were watching. No, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, man, just Christian Veillere he's gonna get his deep ball better, and once that clicks, like it does help the offense quite a bit. So it's that explosive.
I see. So in the name of the podcast, I see Maple Marino. Is that the best nickname you've seen for Veillere? Because I feel like we could definitely get cooking.
Maple Marino is definitely the best one I've seen so far. I don't know if I don't think I've seen anything else. That one was just pretty creative to me.
All right, give it a couple more games. We'll get in the lab. Maybe we'll figure it out. But I love Maple Marino.
I think we can cook. I think we can cook. But for right now, that might just be the episode title, Maple Marino.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, no, we should save that for a really good game he has. It's coming down the pipe.
All right.
All
Put that one in the tickler file, folks.
Just keep that back of the head. All right. Rest of week 7? Yeah, week 7. All right. I want to start this off, not with the best game of the week, but the funniest result for us personally. That'll be on Thursday. West Virginia 39, Houston 41. I woke up and was like, no way they fucking lost, man.
Well, it's so crazy because they were the play to get them into position that they lost on with I guess not the play directly before, but the long touchdown to spring them should have never happened. And then to go and give up a Hail Mary in the Dana Holgerson Bowl, what a way to go out.
Dude, I think so. They scored with 12 seconds left on their own Hail Mary. Then their quarterback, Garrett Green, gets a 15-yarder for unsportsmanlike, which ends up costing them the game, gives them the field position to get the Hail Mary. And the West Virginia D-back does what every defensive back is taught not to do, pops the ball up instead of spiking it down, and they lose on walk-off in the Dana Bowl. That makes me smile. That just makes me happy. What a great weekend for me personally.
I mean, talk about a wouldn't it be funny game that we missed right there. That sometimes they're right in front of your face, and you just sometimes it's not funny till after the fact. Because honestly, this game wouldn't have been funny if that Hail Mary didn't happen. But now it is one of the most comical of the season, arguably.
Losing a game in the final 12 seconds, like we never. Even if I said, you know what, I think Houston's going to upset West Virginia. Never thought it would go down like this.
Exactly. You can call your shot, but you can't call your shot like that.
Yep.
Although I think I did see somebody, it got obviously a shit ton of retweets because it actually happened, but somebody did tweet, I think Houston is going to beat West Virginia on a last-second Hail Mary tonight.
Fuck, man. All right. Good for that guy.
Right.
Friday night, Stanford 46, Colorado 43. Ooh.
Surely this was like a back-and-forth game, right?
You consider halves to be back and forth.
Colorado surely wasn't up 29 at half, right?
Certainly they didn't give a Stanford wide receiver 13 catches for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And one of the most you got mossed type catches as part of that stat line.
That's going to be one of those videos you see on every single college football YouTube video for years to come, like craziest catches in college football.
Yep.
You won't believe this. Just reaching around Travis Hunter and just walking him into the end zone like someone drunk dancing at a wedding.
I mean, that's the thing, too. It's not like he did it on Colorado has some good players. They have some not so great players. He did it on their best player.
Yeah, on their best player. Travis Hunter did not have much help in this game. He scored a very nice touchdown in the first half, but good God.
When you're on the field as much as he is, you're bound to get exposed, I guess. But
he should really be playing one way, I think. Also, Colorado. I mean, listen, Colorado's 4-3, which is better than any of us expected them to be. So this is kind of like this is what like we should have expected from Colorado. Just getting in some weird barn burners late on a Friday night, losing in double overtime to Stanford, but it's funny.
It is.
It's
It
at least
is.
funny.
This is another big miss on the Wouldn't It Be Funny.
Yeah.
I'll hold myself accountable here. Not doing well, folks.
Hey, listen, man, we can find joy in games again. It's time to bring it back.
Yeah. All right. Let's get goofy. Let's get funny.
Let's get goofy. All right, moving into Saturday, the top 6 teams all blew out their opponents. Let's get into game of the week, probably game of the year so far. Washington 36, Oregon 33. We were right. We were drinking the purple Kool-Aid when Washington comes out victorious, proving us right. Let's go.
So the little side bet that Kent is just allergic to making money on bets. Told him to take Washington with me. He said, "Nope, I like Oregon." I said, "Okay, fine. Who do you like in the later game, USC or Notre Dame?" He said, "I love USC." I said, "All right, I'll tell you what. Why don't we put a little side bet on this? The winner of this bet will ride. Well, the other one will ride with that person in the later game." Washington won, so I won money there. He did not. I then took Notre Dame. He said, "Wait, I'm actually not going to ride," and got the double whammy put on him.
Oh my god!
So, Kent, if you're listening, I know
Listen
ball.
to your friends. Listen to your friends.
No, it was. I mean, the Oregon Washington game could have gone either way. It was so good. It was kind of like, I don't want to say exactly how I predicted it, but both teams played exactly how I thought. Oregon was pretty physical up front. Their defense made some big plays. But at the end of the day, like Michael Penix and the Huskies made the last one.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like every unit in this game played about as well as I expect them to. Washington offense looked great. Oregon's offense looked great. Oregon defense kept Washington out of the end zone for most of the second half. Washington defense looked better than I thought it would. But the dam just broke open, and I get it. Like, I'm very much in favor of coaches going for it on fourth down when you think you can ice the game. They just don't get that 4th and 2, and then immediately Michael Penix just blacks out, throws a crazy touchdown pass to I think it was Udunze at the very end. But
yeah. Well,
and
I think that that 4th down, honestly, I'm okay with that one. I think the one that really doesn't make sense was before half. They go for it, 4th and goal. Could have taken the points and kicked a field goal. You look at the final score of the game, losing by 3, and those hurts a little bit more even looking at that. But I think you take the points there. The other ones I'm more okay with, honestly.
Yeah, but the other thing is, like, I don't feel worse about Oregon after this game. I think they are. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's any chance that any other team besides these two is playing for the Pac-12 title in December.
100%.
And logically, if they split the series, they should probably both be in the playoff.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be real interesting to see what it's like. Neutral site too. That throws a new wrinkle into it. But yeah, I think that Oregon's going to drop in the rankings just because of that one loss. They kind of have to. But it feels like one of those things that they can play themselves right back into right behind Washington going into that Pac-12 championship.
Okay, so Oregon only dropped 1 spot to 9.
Yeah, I think I wasn't sure if they were still in the top 10, but I think that's very fair. Who slid up to 8?
Texas.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah. Washington jumped up to 5, which I don't know. I think Washington should be top 4 right now. I think they should be ahead of Ohio State, maybe. I think Ohio State's probably a good number 5, but
well, I mean, there's going to be some for sure shaking it up this weekend.
Yep.
I guess we'll get to that at a later date, but
yep. I mean, either way, just awesome game. Awesome that it was that good of an environment and that it lived up to the billing. That is just checks all 3 boxes. this one's going to be on. I'm probably going to watch the highlights of this game again because they were so good.
Yeah, it was appointment TV. It doesn't. That's college football right there.
Yeah.
Game day, like fans were going nuts all day. It's why we watch the sport, honestly.
Yep. Okay, moving on to the next game. You kind of hinted at this. USC 20, Notre Dame 48.
I was going to say we both kind of had this take on the previous pod. Dude, USC is. I don't want to say they're bad. They're not a top 10 team.
They're fake good.
They're very fake good. Notre Dame was so much more physical. They actually have a defense, and they impose their will on Caleb Williams and the Trojans.
I mean, Caleb Williams, 23 of 37, a $199, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. That's what I said, man. If you can get to it, I mean, it's not even like they did sack him a bunch. I don't know the exact numbers, but also forced 3 fumbles. That's they had 5 turnovers against USC, and my thing was like I knew that you could game state the USC offense into just pooping their pants because I don't think Caleb Williams really handles drop 7, drop 8 well. Shows he threw 3 picks, only had a $199. But the thing I was most surprised about with this game is that Notre Dame didn't exactly have a great day on offense. Sam Hartman only threw for 126. They rushed for 125. But the weak link of the USC team, which was the defense, actually kind of stepped up. The offense just completely shut down.
Yeah, it's kind of like not the opposite of what you expected, but they kind of flipped roles a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like the box score looks. I mean that last fumble recovery for a touchdown makes the box score look even that much worse. But it was still like this game was never USC's. Like they go and score a touchdown, get back within 2 scores, and it's like, oh, remember special teams USC? You have to cover kicks and not let Notre Dame, return it to the house right after you score. It was just like little stuff like that. Like every time they tried to get back in it, Notre Dame bonked them on the head.
Yeah, I mean, when you start the game off with a pick on your first drive, it just sets the tone. And like I said, USC's fake good. And so you look at USC's schedule next 5 games. Home against Utah, at Cal, home against Washington, at Oregon, home against UCLA, which is really a neutral site game.
If USC wasn't 6-1 right now, I'd say they might not make a bowl. That's an exaggeration, but I mean, it's like they are going to go through a gauntlet here.
I think it is more likely that they end up 6-6 than they do 11-1.
Yeah,
they could. I mean, I think they're straight up losing to Utah, Washington, Oregon. UCLA is a toss up, and if Caleb Williams has a stinker, Cal can beat you. They can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I have a conspiracy theory going about him in this game that he's just at this point trying to tank his NFL draft stock because he doesn't want to play for the Giants. So maybe that's what's going through his head as he's looking through the rest of the schedule too.
I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be a very good NFL quarterback. Oh, Caleb Williams has problems reading defenses and doesn't play well behind a crappy O-line. Wonder if the NFL team is going to have a really good offensive line and a bunch of good weapons.
It's literally that was Bryce Young too. You look at Bryce Young this year. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what is happening right now to them. So,
yep. Okay, that's all. I don't know. I was just right about USC. I just want to gloat about that.
Yeah, this was a great week. Well, I guess it wasn't really the USC losing to Notre Dame doesn't affect anything for their Pac-12 standings, but this was a great week for what I think it means for my Washington pick as the winner of the Pac-12.
USC fraudulent. We knew.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, ACC title race implications. North Carolina beats Miami 41-31. Difference here, North Carolina can run the ball and Miami couldn't.
Yeah, Drake May. I mean, I think he had 4 touchdowns this game, right? Something like that. But it didn't.
Van Dyke had 4. Let me check that.
Yeah,
he had 4 touchdowns.
But it wasn't like 4 touchdowns. Holy shit, Heisman performance, Drake May. Like it's still, like you said, a lot of it was the run game.
Yeah, it was simply just a pedestrian 4 touchdowns. For
Yeah,
Drake
exactly. Hey, I mean, Phil Jerkovich had a 3 touchdown game, so. you can really kind of craft the numbers to whatever you want them to show. But you're right. That was for sure the difference.
So North Carolina still in it. Miami out.
Yep, they're pretty much done. And I think really at this point, it's UNC is going to be the only person that can really challenge Florida State.
They also don't play each other in the regular season. Now, the only other team that really Louisville could back their way in, but I don't see it. Duke, if Riley Leonard gets back to being healthy, maybe. But right now, North Carolina and Florida State are both 6-0 and undefeated in conference. So,
playoff implications. Both teams are undefeated. Really close.
Well, UNC's top 10 in the rankings now.
Yeah, so it's like if they kind of go down to Charlotte and duke it out, is there a possibility to get 2 ACC teams in the playoff? When's the last time that happened? Never. I don't think actually.
I don't think so. Possible if there's a year to do it with Drake May. This is their year to make the playoff, 100%.
You need some definite chaos in the Big Ten and Pac-12 probably.
So
the trifecta of Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State to kind of like somehow beat each other to the point that, or maybe Iowa wins in the Big Ten championship, and I don't know.
Yeah, you would need like I don't know if Iowa wins the Big Ten championship, they might be 12-1. So.
We might have to talk about putting Iowa in the fucking college football playoff.
I think
that's a real possibility if they win the Big Ten championship.
Okay, I think you need the following things: 2 losses for the Pac-12 champion, 2 losses for the Big 12 champion, and then you hope that the other 2 Big 10 teams, like you probably have 1 12-0 team and 2 2-loss teams. I think it's tough with how top-heavy the rankings are with Big 10 teams. Like it's hard to account for any other conference getting 2 teams in.
Yeah. Well, maybe Drake May will come back for one more year next year when it's a 12 team, but
he's gonna make some money. I don't think so. Real quick, some funny results from the weekend. Arizona 44, number 19 Washington State 6. They decided that they were not going to lose another game after pooping their pants against UNC. Next up, Michigan State 24, Rutgers 27. You cannot let Rutgers score 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter against you. That is bad. That's bad for the program.
Yeah.
Iowa State 30, Cincinnati 10. Shouldn't have lost that one. And then, okay, I think this is the funniest result of the weekend. Even though West Virginia losing on a Hail Mary is funny, Iowa 15, Wisconsin 6.
Not a great look for Brent Ferentz and his road to 25 points a game here.
Iowa might go 12-1 and still have to contractually fire their offensive coordinator at this point.
Dude, I think I saw who was Iowa's loss right now?
Penn State.
I'm pretty sure like in their last like they're like really close to have a negative scoring margin and being 6-1. I think if you look at like their last 4 or something like that, I think they're 4-0. I forget what week they played Penn State.
It was exactly 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so if you look at it,
3-1.
they're 3-1 and have a negative point differential. I'm pretty sure.
Let me do the math real quick. 10, 6. Might be even. Or no, that's negative. Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah. So, real quick, Iowa's quarterback Deacon Hill, which, first off, guess Deacon Hill's weight. He's 6'3". He's their starting quarterback.
Oh, dude, I was watching this game. I feel like I should have a pretty good grip on this, but I honestly have no. Is he a big boy?
He's a big boy.
6'3". What is he, like 260?
258.
That's crazy.
And he went 6 for 14 for 37 yards. Quarterback rating of 6.2.
Did he throw a pass to a receiver? Did a receiver catch a pass, I should say, from Iowa?
That is a good question. So we've got a tight end catching a pass. That is a running back. Give me a second here. Let's see. Johnny Pizzucci, that's a tight end. And who's it? Nico. Oh, he threw two passes for 13 yards to a wide receiver.
Wow. He's really lighting up that stat sheet.
Dude. All-time bad. Also, just to talk about Wisconsin for a second, why are you throwing it 50 times against Iowa when you have Braylon Allen? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. You know what we should look at doing? You know how they'll do like the single game fantasy matchups, right? Where you just have a certain allotted amount of money and you have to draft players from a team. Yeah. Doing that in this type of game would be so difficult, so chaotic, but honestly so much fun. I think we should look at doing that sometime.
I think they're all right, we'll look into that for this week. I think I know a place we can do that.
Because it would just be like every time there's a like reception of more than, and we might have to do in a game like this, we might have to do like a 2 or 3 point PPR. and just get wonky with it.
Oh jeez, yeah. All right. Also, last thing here on Iowa. Tell me where you see another loss this year, because I'm serious about 11-1 Iowa. Home against Minnesota, home against Northwestern, home against Rutgers, home against Illinois, at Nebraska. I don't see a loss.
I don't either.
Dude,
I don't either.
They can't keep getting away with this, man. They can't keep getting away with this.
That's unreal.
That's unreal.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't rooting for it at this point, though.
I want the 11-1 Iowa has to fire Brian Ferentz.
Well, what if maybe he's like contractually obligated that if he's not an offensive coordinator, he can't coach for the offense or for the Iowa Hawkeyes, but maybe if they go 11-1 and go to the Big Ten championship, he's fired as OC but hired as head coach. Dude, we never said that him being dismissed as OC, that doesn't mean he couldn't come back as something else, right?
Dude, if Kirk just retires and is like, by the way, my son is now your head coach, that would be so funny.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. I'm rooting for that now.
Yeah. Okay,
last one before we get out of here. Air Force beats Wyoming. I believe the score is scrolled a little too far. 34-27. Air Force is probably going to be the G5 New Year's Six Bowl. Rooting for Wyoming there. It would be James Madison if they weren't bowl banned.
Yeah, tough one for JMU. Shout out to Wyoming for covering, but Air Force is pretty damn good. So
Wyoming's pretty fucking good too. They're just Air Force is a little bit better.
Yeah,
because they're undefeated. Did I tell you this? When I got back to the after party from the wedding, I was watching an FCS game at the bar.
Who do they have on?
Dude, it was Montana versus Idaho in the Kibby Dome.
Did you put any action on that?
I don't think first off, my phone was dead, so I couldn't, and two, I was in no state to even operate a sports book.
Well, that's a game too. You look at it and you're like, am I that drunk? Is this really Montana and Idaho? What was it? Idaho State?
Regular Idaho.
Just regular Idaho. Is this really Montana and Idaho right now, or am I just that drunk from the wedding?
I'll be honest, dude. I might just become an FCS guy because it's kind of fun. They're kind of some good teams. Some good teams in the FCS.
Well, good luck getting those games, but
they're all on ESPN Plus.
Oh, true. Yeah. True. Yeah, you don't have to deal with the. Oh, that was another thing that sucked about the game. The production team for this game was awful. There were like several times where it was like a 4th down and short, and they just like didn't show the play.
The CW.
Yeah. So, fuck you, CW. I don't know.
Yeah, I was watching the condensed replay or the condensed game, and there were just like a lot of things they didn't show. They didn't have replays of. Just
the CW's not a football channel, man.
I mean, the ACC network is bad as is, and then letting the stink of the CW get on it was just it's too
commercials. The commercials for just these instead of like the ACC network ones, where it's like
knife commercials.
Yes, infomercials. For this one, it's just for their own dog shit TV shows that they have.
Oh no!
I don't really think you're like hitting your target audience for daytime like soap operas and like sitcoms while you have an ACC football game on. I don't know. I'm not a marketing genius, but that doesn't add up to me.
Dude, you got to think that there's nearly zero overlap between the CW ACC games and the CW reality TV.
Yeah.
I mean,
the only overlap is somebody that like some old person that left to go on a cruise and forgot to turn the TV off and was watching their CW and they just left it on because they forgot.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, I think that's it from us, right?
Yeah,
we're talking about the CW here. All right, that's it from us. Follow the pod at Simplified Podcast. Leave us a review on your podcast app of choice. It really does help us out. I'll be having my film review come out. You'll see that coming through on Twitter, probably the same day that this drops. And we'll see you next week.
Hail to Pitt.